Today we have with us eminent archaeologist Dr. Dilip Chakrabarti, Emeritus Professor of South Asian Archaeology at Cambridge University. He is also associated with us at the Vivekananda International Foundation and is the editor of the VIF multi-volume series History of Ancient India. As an archaeologist, Dr. Chakrabarti needs no introduction. He has to his credit 28 books, 10 edited volumes and about 200 articles and reviews, etc. Today we are going to discuss with him the current state of scholarship on ancient Indian history and archaeology and the way forward. Welcome, sir. So please tell us about the present state of research and teaching of ancient Indian history in India.
The first thing that we have to remember in this context is that ancient India occupies a very marginal position in our institutional curriculum. How many universities are there in Delhi? 3 major universities, Delhi, JNU and Jamia Millia. Ancient history is not taught on any kind of specialized level at any of these places. Why this has happened, it is not for me to think about, but this fact exists, this fact can be seen. Now, this is another implication. The implication is the students who take their degrees from these universities with special papers in ancient India, they don't have any specialized knowledge of the subject. They've never been taught how to read an ancient inscription or handle old coins and so on. I would say, and I don't think any of these universities has any kind of archaeological research tradition. Marginally, with gaps, yes, but not as a continued tradition. There is no university museum at these places, which again I believe is a disgrace. Delhi University has small departmental museums, but no attempt has yet been made to coordinate all these departmental museums into one university museum of which the university can be proud. So this shows by and large our general attitude of the academic community to the study of ancient India. We simply don't bother about it. In fact, have I come across any significant piece of research from Delhi or JNU or Jamia Millia in recent years? I mean, in the field of ancient India. I can't say yes. Apart from 1 or 2 individual attempts, that's about it. So, the state of affairs in the study of ancient India is not a happy one. A few old universities, Calcutta, Banaras, Allahabad, they've got specialized units for the study of ancient India. The point is, the study of the primary sources of ancient India has seriously suffered in the process. There is hardly any coordinated emphasis on the study, on the primary sources of ancient India, inscriptions, coins and the like, manuscripts and so on. If we seriously care about ancient India, we should ensure that all these things are studied at the primary level with considerable expertise. I'm not very sure if the modern historians of ancient India like to put much emphasis on the primary sources. The trend began in the 1970s or in the late 1960s. People became more interested in offering grand theoretical schemes of Indian history and ancient Indian history. They were not interested in the minutiae of the data. They were not even interested in what the earlier scholars who had invariably first-hand acquaintance with the primary material, they wrote about it. I remember one case. There was a man called R.S. Sharma in Delhi University when I was a teacher there. Sharmaji borrowed his idea from the from the Belgian historian Henri Pirenne, Mohammedan Charlemagne. And his idea was there was a great decline of classical trade and commerce, urbanism in the post-Gupta period. In the European context, the ideas of Henri Pirenne have generally been ignored. But in India, Sharmaji ensured that his proteges continued this tradition. The same thing can be said about another character in the ancient Indian scene in the modern period, Romila Thapar. Romila Thapar's primary expertise lies basically in quoting Western anthropologists and trying to examine the extent to which ancient Indian data fit in this pattern. The result has been disastrous. If history is supposed to be a detailed empirical study of anything, of any period, we should focus not on what other people have said, theoretically or otherwise, but on the primary data. One must have the expertise or competence to read an inscription or to read properly a coin. None of these people I have mentioned had this expertise. Why we are not interested in the study of ancient India, I don't know. Something wrong with us? Why are you so disinterested in knowing about ancient India? This leads us to another tricky point. Ancient India has been unfortunately associated with Hinduism. There is absolutely nothing wrong about it. Somebody called ancient Indian civilization Hindu civilization. Some people I know took serious umbrage at that, forgetting that Hinduism was the only major religion that the country had during that period. So there is also a bit of anti-Hindu sentiment when it comes to ancient India. When people think of ancient India and modern India, modern Indians think of it, they have this feeling at the back of our mind. I don't know how this has come about. I honestly don't know. To some extent, this may be due to the influence of the scholars these Indian scholars cite all the time. Now, my point of view is that Western scholars, especially Western Indologists, they've never been known for their pro-India sentiments or for their pro-Hindu sentiments. It is very unfortunate that these groups of modern Indian historians of ancient India, they try to focus on them. I really don't know how the study of ancient India can be rejuvenated, except by opening more departments where highly competent people should be employed to teach the basic sources of ancient India. Our students must be competent enough to read an ancient inscription. And by the way, the study of ancient inscriptions in India at the moment is disastrous. The old scholars said, long gone, and the younger ones, they're not much interested in these things. Archaeological Survey of India used to have an epigraphy branch. I'm sure it still has. But once I visited the department in Bangalore, the level of demoralization was amazing. A vast number of inscriptions are still lying undeciphered in the context of the South. This is very unfortunate. So if you ask me what is the state of affairs of the study of ancient India, I would say it is very bad.
What is the scenario regarding archaeological research in India?
Archaeology has been luckier in the sense that a lot of excavation work has taken place in the country under the aegis of the Archaeological Survey of India and a few Indian universities since independence. Virtually, archaeological research has been conducted in all parts of the country. Yes, literally in all parts. And even now discoveries take place, some of them very important ones. The kind of archaeological knowledge which we had, say in the 50s and the 1960s, I would say the tremendous expansion of archaeological knowledge about the country since then. Having said this, I should point out two aspects of archaeological research in India. You see, academic research takes place, should take place, only in the universities. If you expect to train physicists, chemists, etc., the primary emphasis, even in this country, has been on the university departments, where people receive their basic training. As far as archaeology is concerned, it is still considered largely a government affair. The Archaeological Survey of India is there, and they should take care of all our archaeological issues, and one or two university departments, and not particularly good ones. I shall give you one example. In former times, any student of archaeology in the country, at any university, had to take compulsorily about 12 weeks of rigorous field training. This has been so seriously diluted now that our students with a degree in archaeology have hardly any field training. This is too bad. And this also throws a lot of light on the attitude of the university teachers whose main occupation is archaeology teaching, or should be archaeology teaching. Secondly, archaeology these days is seriously based on science, almost at every step. I'm not commenting on the goodness or the badness of it, but it is part of the routine, dating, soils and so on. This aspect is virtually non-existent in the country. I can think of only a few laboratories who are competent enough to undertake dating. There should be a National Institute of Archaeological Research and Scientific Studies in the country. This should have been established many years ago. It is not established even now. The Archaeological Survey of India is under the leadership of somebody who has never been trained in archaeological methods and research. It is as simple as that. And whatever you expect in such a situation, it is there. That is, hardly any coordinated academic progress is being made in the field of academic research in archaeology. It is unfortunate, but there again, this is true. This is truth. Also, the structure of archaeological research in India is frightfully bureaucratic. I don't know why this bureaucratic structure is still retained, but you can't even move your head in the Indian archaeological context without taking permission from the Archaeological Survey of India. It is not that they don't give permissions, but the fact that academics have to take permissions to the government department before they can do any kind of research in their own field, this is disgusting. So I won't say that archaeology in India is in great shape either, especially after the tradition has been established. The leadership of the Archaeological Survey of India should go to the hands of the bureaucrats who may blissfully be completely unaware of what archaeology is.
What are the other challenges faced by Indian archaeology today in terms of funding, collaboration?
I would say there is adequate funding. ETC gives money, Archaeological Survey of India gives money. So there is no special problem about it. I am told that getting a few lakhs of rupees for university departments to excavate, that is not an issue. So, and the university should collaborate between themselves. Why shouldn't they? You see, the problem is that we hardly publish our material. In fact, publication of a report in Indian archaeology is a matter of great rejoicing. It is not a routine affair. It should be a celebratory occasion.
What are your recommendations for rectifying the present problems in historical research and teaching in India, especially on ancient Indian history and archaeology?
As far as ancient Indian studies are concerned, I mean, more universities should teach us the subject. As simple as that. And that will require UGC's intervention. Competent people should be taken. People should be recruited not on the basis of their caste or their familiarity or their closeness with the heads of the departments and other important people. Competent people should be selected. Departments should expand. More and more universities should study ancient India. That's all. And of course, the teachers should do teaching and research, which they don't in all cases. There is no special problem except this. And maybe our attitude to our past should change a bit. Maybe we should not feel shamefaced about studying ancient India, or focus only those aspects of research we think should be acceptable to the Western brethren. I can think of a book called, I'm told that somebody has brought out a book on the culture of political violence in ancient India. Now, there are so many aspects of ancient India which, how do I put it, which are neglected in the field of research, then why people should focus only on tricky things, I don't know, which could be interpreted in various ways.
And what would be your recommendation specific to the Archaeological Survey of India?
Again, this is very simple. Archaeologists should do their business for which they are paid, and meanwhile, they should hold on to the last CAG report or the CAG performance audit of the survey as their Bible, because it's a marvelous report, and I would certainly claim that the CAG's people have done a tremendous job in dissecting and analyzing the structure of archaeological research in the country. This is a great document at which hardly any of us seriously looked. So with this Bible in hand, I mean, there should be a compulsory reading for any archaeologist in the country, especially Archaeological Survey of India officers, and they should remember the suggestions which have been made by the CAG, and that will change things a lot.
You were also talking about the need for a National Institute of Archaeology. Could you tell us a bit more about your ideas on such an institute?
A national institute of this kind should be a research institute. A big research institute which will focus on archaeological problems in various parts of the country and try to change the situation as far as people there, established there, can do it. There are many national institutes. In the scientific field, India has possibly innumerable scientific institutes. Take the case of the CSIR. What is it except a National Institute? How many CSI laboratories do you have? Do you have a single CSI type of laboratory for archaeology? No. Why has not it been established? Because we simply are not interested. There is another factor. You see, archaeology is dominated primarily by historians and other humanists of the country. They feel very insecure in the field of scientific research of any kind. My experience is it is these people who have prevented these such institutes, such setups from coming up in the country, because they won't have any power over them. As simple as that.
So how do you think we can more fully utilize our museums for public instruction in Indian history?
I shall be very honest. Museums in this country, archaeological museums in this country, are a disgrace in any context. The museum people simply don't do any work in their own field. I have seen people damaging Amaravati collection in the government museum Madras in the very presence of their chowkidars. Nobody is interested in these galleries, in keeping these things properly kept and all this. What can you do? We have to change our attitude first. These days, some clever people have started using the museums as a kind of, the Sanskrit term comes to me, natyashala. I mean, it's a kind of stage for dramatic performances of various kinds. This is fairly disgusting. The museum people should do for which they are paid. The museum people should prepare catalogues of their objects in their collection. They should study their specimens and publish. That's all what is expected. Nothing more, nothing less. Whatever little experience I have of museums in Delhi University, it is fairly agonizing. There are 300 odd miniature paintings in that collection, which came as a donation to Delhi University. Any other place would have welcomed the donation and tried to build a university museum with that collection as a core. Delhi University did nothing of the kind. And also, museums, possibly the academics, they should ensure that museum visits at least, are seriously incorporated in the academic curricula.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and your suggestions. We hope that we are able to, some of us are able to implement these in our own career. Thank you so much.
Can you imagine the extent to which archaeological sites and archaeological artifacts are being destroyed in this country? Name anything. Take the case of quarrying. The sites which are fairly extensive in the 1980s, they've all been destroyed in certain areas I can think of. Are we concerned? No, we are not concerned. And whatever we Indians can say about our heritage, this is either crass stupidity or just saying things for the sake of saying. It doesn't mean anything to us. That's all I believe.
But sir, instead of ending on such a note, if you would like to say something else, something positive.
As far as the study of ancient India and archaeology goes, I will not say anything else. See, another aspect we are ignoring, the lack of good students in these subjects. And there is lack of good students because there are not many jobs in these fields. And also, if I'm allowed to say, some kind of enmity of the so-called modern historians who have ensured systematically in various places that the students of ancient India are deprived of teaching jobs in colleges. No, in my lifetime, I foresee no change in status for the study of ancient India or archaeology. It is nothing political. This lies rooted deeply in the Indian subconscious. We have no respect for our past. The only past that you care of is what I say, call mumbo jumbo. Mumbo jumbo is very appealing. Not hard-nosed study of things.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Thank you for your time.